How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy King Cap, and we are here with another game review. This game is very special to me because I want to start by saying I am a huge advocate in the Sonic community. I love Sonic the Hedgehog, and I think Sonic 2 was one of my earliest gaming memories as a child, just playing it on the original Sega Genesis. That and Mega Man 7 on the Super Nintendo are the two, first games I have vivid memories of playing when I was a small kid. And it just is amazing that to this day we're getting great Sonic games. And this is probably one of the best 3D Sonic games. We're talking about Sonic X Shadow Generation. But before, as always, hit the subscribe button, like the video, leave a comment, let's talk Sonic. I know this is a very, very important character to millions of us, and let's get on with the review. So, man, when I saw that Sonic Generations, a beloved modern 3D Sonic game, was getting a remake, I was like, really? Why? We have Sonic Generation on PC. It runs 60 FPS. You can play it backwards compatible on the Series X, and it runs at 60 FPS. Why do we need a remake of Sonic Generations if it's just so readily available? But then Sega dropped the trailer and showed that Shadow was going to be pretty much the prominent character in this package. And, I had my guards up. The reason being is because, when you look at games like Sonic Forces and we had the episode Shadow, like that was nothing. That was just pretty much a palette swap for Sonic. The levels were pretty much the same. You just hold boost and just run forward. And to be honest, Shadow hasn't really been getting a lot of love lately. Now, I know that Sega did say that 2024 is the year of Shadow. We got Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie coming out, which is all about Shadow. They're kind of redoing the Sonic Adventure 2 storyline, which is, a beloved storyline in the community. And now they have this Sonic X Shadow Generations. And, I was excited, but I wasn't going crazy. Like, this wasn't on my watch list. But then it came out, reviews dropped, and people were just saying how amazing the Shadow campaign was. And, I watched some YouTubers, I watched a couple people talk about it, and it sounded like it was actually pretty good. Sure, it's not going to be super long, but the OG Sonic Generations was like a, 5-hour game if you really want to play all the levels through and see the story. So I was like, okay, we're getting a 10-hour Sonic game with both these games. Forget it, let's buy it. And man, this is easily one of the best 3D Sonic games that have come out in a long, long time. I'm not even kidding when I say this, guys. The Shadow levels are insane. This is literally what I've been asking for. Sure, we got Sonic Frontiers, and I did really like Sonic Frontiers. But I like traditional 3D boost levels, like what we got in Unleashed and OG Generations and Colors. Not the remaster, like OG Colors. So this is what I've been asking for, and they just delivered not only on the gameplay and the level design, but on the story, which again is very surprising, especially when you look at the actual Sonic Generation story. So in this game, we play as Shadow the Hedgehog. I want to start with the Shadow campaign just because I feel that is the selling point of this package. We play as Shadow, of course. This kind of shows what is happening to him during the story of Generations, which is nice because Shadow was like not in Sonic Generations whatsoever, other than appearing at the very end at the final boss. So it was nice to see what he was doing this entire time. And we play as Shadow. We see that Black Doom is back, and this is trying to, tie Shadow and Doom together and how they're somewhat related. And we also get to see more backstory on not just Shadow, but also Gerald Robotnik and Maria. Now, if you remember, Gerald Robotnik and Maria were shown in Sonic Adventure 2. Maria was killed on the Ark. Gerald Robotnik went insane and then made the colony Ark crash into Earth. And, in Sonic Adventure 2, everyone had to kind of team up, including Eggman with Sonic. Cool story, great story. I'm sure, if there's one video that is prominent on YouTube. It's Sonic Adventure 2 videos, so I'm sure if you are in the Sonic community, you've heard Sonic Adventure 2 story. What we get with this story is we get to see more of how Gerald Robotnik was before everything happened and how Shadow and Maria's relationship was before all this happened. And they did touch upon this a bit in the Shadow the Hedgehog game, for better or for worse. But you know, you had to play like the story 10 times to see it all. So it's nice that we have a more streamlined version to show the backstory of Shadow. And man, just like the emotional beats that they show and how Shadow is, you know, affected by seeing Marie and Gerald, and you see them like they don't even know what's going to happen because once the time meter, you know, disturbs the time and everything, they're brought back and they have no idea what's to come for them. And it's a very bittersweet moment because Shadow knows exactly what's going to happen and they don't. And as the viewers, you know, especially if you played Sonic Adventure 2, you know what their fates are. And just having that dilemma in Shadow and just seeing this emotion, this is something that we usually don't see from Shadow. So it's really nice to see like a more, I don't want to say human side, but a more human side to him and his psyche and how, you know, these relationships, even though he's tried to move on, still are in the back of his head. And, you know, Black Doom is wanting Shadow to get all these powers so that he can have an ultimate fight with him at the end. And, you know, that is pretty much the story. I don't want to spoil it, which is funny because it's a Sonic story, but I really don't want to spoil it because there's a lot of really, really cool, heartfelt moments. And you know what I really do like? You get this Gerald notebook, and as you read through it, you see everything that happened with Gerald Robotnik, of how Maria got sick, and how he took her to the Ark, and how there was a fight between the family to bring her back, and you know, he went to Black Doom to get his cells to put into Maria and then create Shadow, and you see all this backstory of things that were never explained, at least not to my knowledge. And it's really, really cool that Sega actually took the time to do this. You know, they're trying to create a continuity within the Sonic universe, which is really, really welcomed because for a long time, everything was always just ignored in the next game. So it's nice to see that they're continuing to do this overarching story with all the characters that we've grown up with or that we've just met recently. But yeah, you know, it's the same as Sonic Generations. You're going through all of Sonic's past. But this time you're going through Shadow's past, and actually there's a couple levels that are in Shadow's future, which I think was really cool. Makes sense because it's all distortion of time, and you know, you're using all these abilities that you get after each act and each level, where you're able to get these new powers like the Doom Wings or the Surf Doom, or that one power that you turn to like a little blob. There's a bunch of cool things that you get. Chaos Spear, like you get all these cool abilities that you can actually, you know, put into the levels, and it just gives so much versatility of how you want to, you know, attack these levels, because just in Sonic Generation formula, there's a bunch of different paths in the levels. So I think that they just absolutely nailed having different paths, and you know, you want to master these stages. And I just think that Sega just did a phenomenal job with the Shadow package. But really, what I really like is that in Sonic Generations, I always hated how, you know, Act 1 you play as 2D Sonic. It's a fully 2D level. And then Act 3 was your modern boost level. But it still had 2D sections where you're going as 3D Sonic in 2D sections. I always thought that they should have had the levels completely separate. They should have modern boost formula is only 3D Sonic levels, and then your 2D is your 2D levels. Here, they actually do that. The actual Act 1 for Shadow is all just fully 3D levels. There's no 2D sections. You're doing all these abilities. You're running through all these iconic levels like, you know, Radical Highway and Rail Canyon, all these great levels that are actually designed better in this game sometimes than the game that they're from. And then your Act 2 is just your 2D levels. And the 2D levels, so I really don't like the Act 1 levels in Sonic Generations. Like, they're fine for what they are, but they're not my favorite. I always find that when I was returning to Sonic Generations, 9 out of 10 times I was just playing the 3D boost levels. Here, the 2D levels are freaking amazing. Sometimes the 2D levels are actually better than some of the 3D levels. It blew my mind, and I think it's just due to the fact that there's just so many crazy set pieces, and there's so many times where you're using your Doom powers and looking for different paths, and it just translates so well into the 2D levels that I think that they're phenomenal. So the levels are great, the gameplay is great, Shadow is great. The bosses are actually a highlight as well. I mean, when you got to fight Metal Overlord and they had What I Made From by Crush 40 playing in the background, like the grin on my face was massive. I was so hyped. Even though this isn't my favorite boss fight in the game, I just couldn't help but be hyped just from the atmosphere, and you're using the Doom Surf and everything. I think that it was a phenomenal boss fight. Different mechanics, how you have to like knock items into Metal Sonic's face, and then you have to like get closer and jump, and that's when you can start hitting him. Really cool. The Mephiles fight was not too bad either. Very disappointed we didn't get to do the SA2 rematch fight with Sonic. In Generations, like the OG Generations, you do get to fight Shadow in that level that they do at the end of SA2. I was kind of disappointed we didn't get to do it in Shadow's campaign, but you do see a really cool cutscene, and it actually does explain how when Sonic takes the emerald, he actually takes a fake emerald, because it's all continuity. The fake emerald that Tails used in SA2 is there, and he gives Sonic the fake one. Really cool. I think it was a kind of a cool way that they did it. And Shadow could have like destroyed Sonic in this fight because he had the Doom powers, but he chose not to because he knew it wasn't fair. They actually touched upon so many loose ends that the fan base would have obviously went after Sega for. They tied them up very nicely, and they connected things nicely, and I'm really happy about that. And the cutscenes are sick. I think this is one of like the only Sonic games where like there's action cutscenes. Like you see Shadow mess up people in these cutscenes, and also during levels, like you see him like dodging shit and dodging like giant robots and doing all these cool stunts, and they're not quick time events. Really cool. Some of the cutscenes, you're seeing him like destroy a bunch of like the Doom alien things, and I thought that just the production in this campaign was just so top notch, and it just really makes me want a brand new Sonic game that are going to take these points that they added in this and really make it into a full game, because this game is getting like 9s and like incredible reviews, and I think Sega should definitely see Shadow's campaign as a great template to continue with improving the Sonic formula. So the last thing that's kind of cool in the Shadow campaign is similar to Sonic Frontiers, you have this kind of open world, like open map, I think they call it open zone actually, section where you're going through like things to get to one level to another, but also find secrets like artwork, soundtrack, all these cool things. And I think that even though it's a lot smaller in scope, the open zone is actually way better designed than the open zones in Frontiers. I think that Sega really took the criticism that they got from Frontiers and implemented and improved it in Shadow's campaign to give us a way better formula for this. And it just again makes me really want to see a new Sonic game that's going to take what they did in Shadow's campaign and improve it even more to give us that true open world or open zone Sonic that the fans would really eat up if Sega just nailed it properly. But overall, like, usually I don't like hub worlds, and even though in SA1, like, the hub world was cool because they had stories and cutscenes and all that stuff, I usually just liked your traditional level to level. But I think it was just done so well here, and you're able to use your Doom powers to get to like secret spots, to get like different collectibles, and to get to different paths. And I just think it was really well done. It was really fun just playing around with Shadow's toolkits in like an open space, and they have enemies there and stuff too. So yeah, it was. I really enjoyed the white space sections of Shadow's campaign. So I mean, overall, with Shadow's portion of the Sonic X Shadow generation, I think that they just absolutely nailed it. All the praise that you're seeing for this game is well deserved. Sega really did give us Sonic fans a game that we've really always wanted. And they put Shadow as the main character, and Shadow's been done dirty for like the last 10-15 years. So just seeing him get this sort of justice is just amazing. It makes me more excited for the Sonic movie. Time of this recording is pretty much like a month away. Can't wait to see that. We got Keanu Reeves. Come on, Keanu Reeves voicing Shadow. Side note, my grandmother actually took care of Keanu Reeves as a kid. So yo, Keanu, if you see this, message me. We'll talk. All right. But anyways, yeah, I think Shadow's campaign is just flawless. It is. I know that the game is a little bit under full price. I definitely recommend it for its price. You're getting great content, great replayability. There's a lot of collectibles, and you get Sonic Generations as part of that as well. And I just think that they absolutely nailed this remaster, which is great because with the remasters that we got from Origins and we got with Colors, I was a little nervous, but Sega just put their best foot forward and they gave us a great game. And I'll talk about the Sonic Generation portion as well. I mean, it's Sonic Generation. This is one of the most beloved modern Sonic games that have come out in the last 15 years. It's just as great as it has always been. It's a nice 60 FPS. They have touched upon some of the controls a bit. I definitely feel like it's a lot snappier. I know there was some controversy with some of the dialogue change. It's not too bad. I know that you furry enthusiasts were mad that Rouge's back was covered more. To that I say, whatever. You hardly see her in the game anyways. You actually see her more in Shadow's campaign, but whatever. Not a big deal. And they did also change some lines with, trying to connect things, like when Sonic, instead of saying how this happened, he says without the time stone. So again, they're trying to give that continuity. I definitely feel like the re-record has a lot less enthusiasm as the original, but that's just that's because they're re-recording. The cast is a lot older now. It's not a big deal. The story, is very bare bones in Generations anyways. It's just like an excuse to go from level to level. But I think it's serviceable. It doesn't offend anyone that's a fan of the original, and the gameplay is just as good. The 2D Sonic levels are not my favorite, but they're serviceable. They're good. He's got great momentum, and the 3D boost levels are still great. So the actual remaster package portion of Sonic Generations is a great remaster, and it's definitely worth a purchase. So overall, we got two great campaigns with replayability, great stories, and great level designs. And it just, again, makes me so excited to see what Sega does next. I know Sega likes to change up the formula with Sonic games a lot. I'm hoping that instead of any drastic changes, they take what worked in this game with their 3D levels or 2D levels, if they want to have some of those as well, and they also implement what they did with the open zone space and better it. Give us the scope of Sonic Frontiers, but give us the polishness and the freedom that's in the Shadow portion. And with that, we're going to have a masterful Sonic game that's coming up, and I really do trust Sega with the Sonic IP going forward. So yeah, another great game of 2024. I think this is definitely going to make the top 10 lists. I got two more games I do want to release at least before the year end. We got the Silent Hill 2 game that I'm currently playing, and then we also have Metaphor, which will take a lot longer, I know that, but we'll definitely be getting you a review. PlayStation 5 Pro is going to be arriving this week for me, and I'm going to see if I can do an unboxing or some sort of analysis, but we'll see what happens. We'll see how my time is. But I just want to thank you all for checking out the video. Definitely go play Sonic X Shadow Generations. We gotta support Sega on these kind of games so they keep giving us either great remasters with new content or a great new Sonic game. So, if you're a Sonic fan, you either already probably have this game or you're considering it. And I just want to let you know it's a great purchase. So have fun and go fast. Thank you so much. Like I said, like the video, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know if you're playing Sonic. Let me know what else you're playing. Again, there's just so many freaking games. It's so hard to keep up. But, we're going to be dropping another video next week. The Daima Episode 5 review will be dropping on Friday. So definitely excited to see what happens in that. And for now, I'll catch y'all in the next video. Thank you so much. King Cap signing out. Peace.